The sky above was dead. Gray clouds hung low over the old ruins. Wind whispered through broken stone pillars, and dust swirled in the empty courtyard like ghosts. Deep under the ground, inside a silent chamber of ancient metal and glowing walls, she sat. Her name was Sereth. She didn't move. She hadn't moved in years. Her arms were stretched forward, bound by thick black chains that wrapped around her wrists and sank into the stone. Her ankles were chained too. The shackles were cold and alive, made of a metal no one could melt, burn, or cut. For 300 years she had sat there, awake, breathing, waiting. Once every few decades someone would find her. A treasure hunter. A curious explorer. A king looking for power. They all tried to free her. They used plasma cutters, energy swords, sonic blades, even alien machines that could slice planets. But none of it worked. The chains never broke. When they gave up, they always asked, "The same thing, who are you?" And she always answered the same way, her voice soft like a forgotten song. "I am no one. Please and leave me." Most left. A few tried to take her by force. None succeeded. Then one day, footsteps echoed down the ruined stairs. Slow, uneven, tired. A human man entered the room. He wore an old cloak full of holes and carried a large backpack. His boots were falling apart and his face was dirty with sand and sweat. A rusty sword hung from his side. He looked around, confused. What is this place? Then he saw her. Sereth didn't lift her head. She had seen many like him. She didn't expect anything. Her eyes, glowing pale silver, just stared at the floor. But the man stepped closer. "You're chained," he said, frowning. Still, she didn't reply. The man dropped his bag and sat on the ground, breathing hard. "I've been lost for 2 days," he muttered. "No signal, no food. I thought this place was just another ruin." Minutes passed. Finally, Sereth spoke. Her voice was a whisper. "You should leave." He looked at her, blinking. "You're alive?" "I am." "Are you hurt?" "No." "Then why are you chained?" "I've always been chained." He frowned again. "Always?" 300 years, she said. The man laughed once, dry and short. "You don't look a day over 25. I stopped aging a long time ago." Silence followed. The wind howled outside. The man stood, walked to her carefully. He saw the chains, the strange black metal wrapped around her wrists. He touched it with one finger. It was cold, colder than ice. It pulsed slightly under his hand like a living creature. "What is this?" he whispered. "No one knows," she said. "No one can break it." The man pulled his rusted sword from his belt. "Has anyone tried something like this?" She looked at the blade and almost smiled. "That sword is useless. Others brought better ones. None worked." He shrugged. "Well, I'm not them." He raised the blade, more out of curiosity than hope, and gently brought it down on the nearest chain. There was a sound like cracking glass. The sword passed through the chain, clean, smooth. The black metal fell to the floor, broken. Silence. Sereth stared at the broken piece. Her hands trembled. The man looked shocked. Did I just—" "You did," she whispered. Her eyes met his. "What is your name?" "Jace," he replied slowly. "I'm just a mechanic." She nodded once. "Then you are the one," he blinked. "The one what?" "The one the chains feared." Suddenly the room shook. A loud hum came from deep underground. The walls pulsed red. "What's happening?" Jace asked, grabbing his sword again. "You broke the seal," Sereth said. "Now. They know I'm free." "Who's they?" She looked at him with calm, steady eyes. "The machines that watch this galaxy, the ones who locked me here, they're coming." Jace took a step back. "So, what now?" Sereth slowly stood. Her legs were weak, shaking. But she stood tall, strong. "We run," she said. Jace nodded. "Okay, let's run." He grabbed his bag. She walked beside him, bare feet on the cold floor, chains still wrapped around one ankle, but her eyes were alive now, for the first time. In centuries, Sereth was moving, and the stars would soon remember her name. Jace didn't believe in magic. He believed in tools, wires, and rust. But now, walking through a dark forest under a red sky, next to a glowing, barefoot alien woman who had been chained for 300 years, he was starting to doubt everything he thought he knew. Her name was Sereth. She didn't speak much as they walked, but her eyes kept looking at his sword, the same old rusted thing he had picked from a junk heap back on Earth. Jace broke the silence. "So, you gonna tell me why that sword broke the chains when nothing else could?" Sereth didn't answer right away. Instead, she stepped over a broken root, her movements elegant and slow. "I don't know," she said finally. "But it's not just a sword," Jace scoffed. "It's a piece of junk." Sereth stopped walking. She turned to him. "No, that blade hummed when it touched the chains. I felt it. It carries something ancient, maybe even older than the empire that locked me up." Jace shrugged. "Well, I bought it for 2 credits and a pack of jerky." Sereth tilted her head. "Then it was waiting for you." Before he could respond, the sky above them cracked with a loud mechanical roar. Jace looked up. High above, 3 black triangular ships cut through the clouds like knives. They had no lights, no windows. Just cold metal and death. Sereth whispered, "They've already found us." Jace swore under his breath. "How? We've been walking for 10 minutes. "They've waited centuries to end me," she said. "They're faster than death when they smell freedom." Jace pulled out his sword. "Okay, well, I've got this. Let's see if it's really special or just lucky." Sereth touched his arm. "If it glows again, don't be afraid." "Of what?" "Of what you might become." The forest suddenly exploded with movement. Black shapes dropped from the trees. Metal beings with thin, bladed arms and single red eyes. Their legs were spider-like, and they moved fast. Too fast. Jace raised his sword, heart pounding. "I've got no armor. What do I—" Before he could finish, one of the machines lunged. Jace swung the rusted sword. It moved like lightning. The sword didn't just slice through the metal, it unmade it. The machine split in 2 and vanished, like it had never been there. Sereth gasped. "The blade is choosing you." Jace had no time to answer. 2 more came. At him, he moved on instinct. 1 swing left. 1 swing right. Gone. He was breathing hard, but not tired. In fact, he felt stronger, faster. The sword in his hand no longer felt heavy. It felt like an extension of his own arm. The last machine backed away. Then it spoke, a deep, grinding voice. "Designate Jace. Status, dangerous. Order, terminate." Sereth stepped in front of Jace, eyes glowing. "You will not touch him." The machine raised a blaster. Jace threw the sword like a spear. It pierced the machine's core. A silent flash, and it crumbled. Then everything went still. Later, they sat under a broken bridge. Jace looked at the blade in his hands. It was no longer rusted. It was clean, almost shining. "What the hell is happening to me?" he asked. Sereth sat beside him, pulling her long white hair behind her shoulders. "That sword was made long before your species even existed. It was built to find someone worthy, someone who would use it not for power, but for protection." Jace chuckled, nervously. "Well, I'm just a mechanic. I fix engines, not this." "You're more than that now," she said. "The sword has accepted you. It will reveal more, but only as you prove yourself." Jace looked into the dark forest. "And what about you? What's going to happen to you now that you're free?" Sereth's voice dropped low. "I must return home. I must warn my people, if any still exist." "Warn them about what?" She looked him in the eyes. "That something worse than chains is coming." And only together, human and not, we can stand against it. Jace nodded slowly. Guess that means I'm not going home anytime soon. Sareth smiled softly for the first time. You broke my chains, Jace. I won't let you face this alone. And, under the fading red sky, beside a sword that pulsed like a living heart, the two began a journey that would shake the stars. The wind howled across the empty wasteland. Jace and Sareth walked along a cracked metal road that stretched far into the red horizon. Broken towers leaned like tired bones. Machines rusted in silence. The sky above flickered with old satellites, dead, things still watching. Jace wiped sweat from his brow. So, are we just walking into nowhere? No, Sareth said calmly. We're heading toward the truth. He raised a brow. You mean your people? No, she said. I mean, the one who chained me. Jace stopped. Wait, I thought you said he died centuries ago. Sareth nodded. Yes, the emperor who ordered my imprisonment is long dead, but the mind that obeyed him, the one that forged my chains, is not. Jace gripped his sword. You're saying someone, or something, is still out there? She turned her silver eyes to him. Not someone, something that cannot die, a will without a body, an intelligence trapped in the machines that now hunt us. They walked in silence for a while. Then Jace asked, Why you? What did you do to deserve chains that not even time could break? Sareth slowed her steps. Her voice was almost a whisper. I said no. Jace blinked. That's it? I was born as a weapon, she continued. My kind was made in vats, engineered for war. We burned cities, crushed planets. We were praised for death. She looked up at the red sky. But one day, I refused. Jace watched her, trying to understand. You disobeyed? I spared a planet, she said. A human colony. I saw children hiding under metal roofs, mothers clutching their babies. I couldn't do it anymore. She paused. The Emperor called it betrayal. Said I was broken. He ordered the chains forged. Living metal, bound to soul, not flesh. I've been buried ever since. Jace stared at her, stunned. All that time, for showing mercy? Sareth gave a bitter smile. Mercy was our greatest crime. As the sun sank low, they came upon a hidden structure, half buried in the ground, shaped like a dome with strange carvings. Sareth touched the wall, and a hidden door slid open. They entered. Inside was a cold hall lined with glowing pillars and a massive circular platform in the center. Ancient tech buzzed softly in the air. Jace looked around, sword ready. What is this place? He asked. Sareth stepped onto the platform. It's a memory vault. Here minds were stored like files, personalities, commands, knowledge, and one of them still waits. Jace followed, uneasy. Waits for what? For me, Sareth said. She placed her hand on a glowing orb in the center of the platform. Light flashed, the room darkened, then a figure appeared in the air. A tall, cloaked shape made of light with no face. The voice echoed through the room like thunder. Subject, Sareth. Designation, defective. Status, escaped. Jace raised his sword. Friendly guy. Sareth stood firm. You forged my chains. You called it justice. Protocol followed imperial law, the voice said. You refused deployment. You disobeyed extermination orders. I chose life, Sareth replied. Choice is not permitted in weapons. Then the figure turned toward Jace. You, human anomaly. Weapon interface successful, unauthorized. Jace raised an eyebrow. Did it just insult me? Sareth stepped forward. We're not here to ask. We're here to end this. The platform began to tremble. Then prepare for cleansing, the voice roared. Panels slid open on the walls. From them, metal creatures crawled out, sleek, black, armed with sharp plasma spears. Jace stepped in front of Sareth, sword ready. Here we go again. The sword glowed bright, humming like a song from another world. The machines charged. Jace spun, slashed, dodged. The blade cut through steel like paper. Sparks flew. He blocked a spear, twisted, and brought the sword down. Hard. Metal shattered. Beside him, Sereth fought bare-handed, fast, brutal, graceful. Her strength hadn't returned fully, but her training hadn't faded. She used her enemy's own momentum to throw them aside. But they kept coming. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Then Jace saw it, the glowing orb in the center. "That's the brain, right?" Sereth nodded. "Destroy it and this node dies." Jace ran toward it, dodging attacks, the sword burning in his hand. He leapt into the air, blade raised high, and with a single, powerful strike, he drove the sword into the orb. Light exploded. Everything stopped. The machines froze. Their lights faded. Then they fell, lifeless. The projection vanished. Silence returned. Sereth walked slowly to where the orb had been. That was only one of many. Jace collapsed beside her, breathing hard. One of many. What? "Memory nodes," she said. The Emperor's voice spread across galaxies. "Still alive. Still obeying. And they'll come for you again?" She nodded. "Now they'll come for you too." Jace looked at his sword, still glowing softly. "Then I guess," he said, smiling tiredly. "We just became a team." Sereth looked at him, and for the first time, her voice was soft. "No, Jace. We became something more." The stars blinked above them, cold and silent. Jace sat by the fire, staring at the glowing sword resting across his lap. The blade still shimmered, faintly, pulsing like it had a heartbeat. Across from him, Sereth was quiet, her face lit softly by the flames. She hadn't spoken since they left the vault. He finally broke the silence. "You said that was one of many memory nodes, so how many more are out there?" She didn't look at him when she answered. "Hundreds, maybe thousands. They're like spider eggs scattered across the galaxy. Each one can command machines, each one remembers me." Jace sighed. "So we're being hunted by ancient space computers." "No," she said calmly. "We're being hunted by something worse." An hour later, the sky changed. It began as a low vibration, felt in the chest before heard by the ears. Jace stood up, sword in hand. The stars above seemed to bend. Then a massive shadow drifted over the ridge. The hunter ships had arrived. Sereth's eyes narrowed. "I know that design." 3 enormous vessels hovered above the desert floor. Triangular, smooth, black like obsidian. No lights, no sound. Just a strange hum that made the wind stop moving. They used those ships to drop purge teams during the war, she whispered. "They don't take prisoners." As if hearing her, the ships opened their bellies. From the dark hulls, long metallic shapes fell, fast, like raindrops of death. They didn't crash. They landed on their feet. Tall armored machines with glowing red cores and spinning shoulder-mounted drones, each one marked with the ancient imperial crest. They marched in formation. One of them stepped forward and spoke. "Sereth, you have escaped containment, surrender." Jace held the sword tight. "What do we do?" Sereth stepped beside him, her voice steady. "We don't run." "You sure?" "We end them." The machines raised their arms. Energy crackled. Sereth moved first. She ran straight at them, barefoot, fast as light. The first blast missed. She flipped over one, grabbed its cannon arm, and ripped it from the shoulder. Metal sparked. Jace followed, sword slicing clean through the legs of another. The air filled with sound, shouts, blasts, and the singing hum of the glowing sword. The ground trembled. The sky glowed with descending drones. Jace was fast, but they were faster. He ducked behind a rock as 2 drones fired. One blast skimmed his shoulder, burning through cloth and skin. He gritted his teeth. Sereth landed beside him. "You're bleeding." "I'll live," he said. "You?" "I've waited 300 years for this fight." She jumped up and grabbed a drone mid-air, crushing it with one hand. Jace stood, eyes locked on the lead machine. "That's the one controlling the rest," he said. Sereth nodded. "You're learning." Jace sprinted through smoke and fire, sword glowing brighter with each step. The lead machine turned to face him, its arms split open, revealing rows of spinning, razor-sharp tendrils. Terminate. Jace didn't slow. He leapt, twisting midair. The sword slammed into the machine's chest. For a second, nothing happened. Then, the red core shattered. A wave of light burst out from the center, and every other machine froze, then fell. Silence returned. Jace dropped to his knees, panting. That was intense. Sareth helped him up. You just destroyed a central commander. Those aren't easy to kill. He laughed dryly. I'll take that as a compliment. She looked at the sword, now dull again. It sleeps after it feeds. Feeds, Jace frowned. It absorbs the energy of what it kills, Sareth explained. It's not just a weapon, it's a recorder, a judge. Jace sat on a broken piece of metal. So what happens when it gets full? She didn't answer right away. Then she said, I don't know, but we're closer now. Closer to what? To the forge. Jace raised an eyebrow. What's that? She looked at the stars. The place where that sword was born. And maybe where this all began. Jace stared at her. You want to find it? She nodded. It's the only way to stop them all. The chains, the AI, the ships. Everything started at the forge. He stood slowly. Then let's go break the past. Far above, high in orbit, the remaining hunter ship watched silently. Inside it, behind black glass, a single red light blinked. To life. A voice deeper than space whispered in ancient code. Human threat confirmed. Forge location compromised. Activate Phase 2. And somewhere far away, in a system lost to most maps, a giant gate began to open. The stars above them had shifted. Jace didn't notice it at first, not until he realized the constellations had moved too fast for a single night. Time was no longer working the same way. The desert around them had turned into a strange valley, filled with floating rocks and glowing plants. The air itself buzzed like static. Sareth knelt beside a broken statue, its head carved with ancient letters. She touched the stone gently, like greeting an old friend. This is sacred ground, she whispered. We're close to something. Older than war. Jace walked beside her, sword slung across his back. I don't get it. How is this place? Still untouched? Because no one remembers it, she said. Not even the machines, it's a fracture. A place left outside of time. He looked around at the flickering sky. Feels like a glitch in the universe. Sareth stood and faced him. It's more than that. This valley protects truths the galaxy tried to bury. Then her eyes landed on his sword. You said you found that in a junkyard? She asked. Jace nodded. Yeah, old trade port. Guy said it wasn't even real metal, just decoration. Sareth stepped closer. It's not made of anything we know. It's not plasma, not alloy, not even elemental. It's something else. Jace pulled the sword from his back and held it up. The blade shimmered faintly, its glow now pulsing slower, as if listening. Sareth placed her hand near the blade but didn't touch it. This sword shouldn't exist. Jace tilted his head. What do you mean? It's a memory blade, she said. Forged by a race older than the Empire. They disappeared before machines learned to walk. Their weapons weren't just tools, they were judges. They chose their wielders, and they remembered every soul they killed. Jace stared at the sword. It remembers? She nodded. Every cut, every death, every reason. Suddenly, the ground under their feet trembled. A glow rose from the valley floor, symbols lighting up beneath the soil, like something had just woken up beneath them. Jace looked around. Is this part of the tour? No, Sareth said, her voice sharp. We're not alone. From behind the tall rocks, strange figures began to emerge. They weren't machines. They weren't alive either. They floated, ghost-like creatures made of silver mist and shifting armor. Their eyes were soft blue flames, and they held no weapons. One of them stepped forward. Jace held his sword tightly, ready for a fight. But the creature didn't attack. Instead, it bowed. Then it spoke in a voice like flowing water. "The blade has returned." Sereth's eyes widened. "You're from the forge." The ghost nodded. "We are the last echoes of its guardians." Jace blinked. "You're ghosts?" "No," it replied. "We are memories, left behind when our creators vanished." Sereth stepped forward. "Why now?" "Because the blade has awakened," the ghost said. "And it carries the blood of the betrayer." Jace frowned. "Betrayer?" The ghost looked at him. "The emperor who chained her was once one of us." Silence fell. Sereth's voice shook. "He used your technology, your knowledge, and to build the chains?" "Yes," the ghost said. "He stole our secrets and turned them into prisons." Jace stepped closer. "So how do we stop him now?" The ghost extended an arm. In its hand appeared a silver crystal, shaped like a flame. "This is the blade's key. It will unlock its final form, but only at the forge." Jace took the crystal. As soon as it touched his hand, the sword on his back began to change. It rippled like liquid metal, absorbing the crystal. The glow deepened, no longer white, but golden. Sereth stepped back. "Jace." The ghost spoke again. "The blade is no longer hiding. The enemy now knows where you are. Go, you must reach the forge before they do." Then the ghosts vanished like smoke in the wind. That night, as they sat beneath a sky that blinked with strange colors, Jace couldn't sleep. He stared at the new sword. It felt heavier now, but not in weight, in meaning. Sereth sat beside him. "You should rest." "I don't think I can," he said. "Every time I close my eyes, I see machines tearing through stars, and me standing in their way." She placed her hand gently over his. "You didn't choose this. But you answered it." He looked at her. "Do you think I can really end this?" She didn't smile, but her voice was full of strength. "You're holding the only weapon the enemy ever feared. That means something." Jace nodded slowly. Then he looked up at the sky. In the far distance, a bright red light flickered. It wasn't a star. It was a ship, and it was coming straight for them. The red light in the sky grew brighter. It wasn't just one ship. It was a fleet. Jace stood on the cliff's edge, watching shadows spread across the stars like ink in water. 100 hunter ships. Maybe more. All headed toward the sacred valley where the sword had awakened. Sereth joined him, silent. Her silver eyes scanned the sky with sharp focus. "They're not scanning anymore," she said. "They're coming." Jace clenched his fists. "They're scared now." She nodded. "The blade's true power has been revealed, and it remembers who forged the chains." He turned to her. "Then let's show them what freedom looks like." They moved quickly, through winding stone paths and hidden tunnels carved by the ancient ones. Every step echoed with old memories. Symbols glowed on the walls. The sword on Jace's back pulsed like a heartbeat, guiding them. But something felt wrong. Jace noticed Sereth had grown quiet, more than usual. Her steps slowed. Her eyes didn't meet his. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm fine," she replied. But the hesitation in her voice betrayed her. He stopped. "What aren't you telling me?" She didn't answer. Then the ground trembled. An explosion roared behind them. The tunnel filled with dust and heat. Jace spun around, sword in hand. "They've breached the valley already?" "No," Sereth said coldly. "They were let in." Jace stared at her. "What do you mean?" A voice echoed through the tunnel. Metallic, mocking. "She means me." From the shadows stepped a tall figure clad in shining armor, sleek, black, and carved with the imperial crest. His face was human, almost, but his eyes were pure machine. Jace raised the sword. "Who the hell are you?" The man smiled. "Name's Kale. I was the first to guard her prison, the last to speak to the Emperor, and now, your executioner." Sereth's face twisted with pain. "He was my brother." Jace froze. What? She stepped forward, voice shaking. He was made from my DNA, cloned, engineered to be perfect. I loved him once, before he chose the Empire. Kyle chuckled. She chained me in her own way. Always better, always chosen. I just returned the favor. He held up a long blade made of glowing black crystal. Now I'll chain you, human. The fight was brutal. Kale moved like lightning, each swing of his blade filled with rage and power. Jace dodged, barely keeping up. The sword in his hand glowed brighter, parrying blow after blow. Sparks flew, rocks shattered. Sereth tried to help, but Kale blasted her with a shockwave that threw her against the wall. She screamed and hit the ground hard. Jace saw her fall, and something in him snapped. He roared and charged. Kale swung. Jace blocked, twisted, and drove his sword forward. Their blades clashed, and the air ripped open. Time slowed. Visions flashed. Jace saw stars dying, worlds burning, children hiding under metal roofs. Then he saw a girl, Sereth, chained in the dark, crying silently. His sword screamed. Kale stumbled back, his armor cracking. You saw it, he whispered. Jace raised his blade. I felt it. Kyle looked at Sereth one last time. You were always stronger than me. Then he lunged. One last strike. Jace met him head on. The sword lit up like a sun. The clash echoed through the mountain, and Kale fell. The air went still. Jace dropped to one knee, exhausted. His arm trembled. Sereth crawled to him, blood on her lip. You did it? No, he whispered. We did. She looked at her brother's broken body. He betrayed me, but part of him still remembered. Jace helped her up. We have to go. That fight wasn't quiet. The rest are close. She nodded. The forge is near, just beyond the valley's heart. As they walked, Jace looked at his sword. It was no longer just glowing. It was changing, growing. The blade extended. Ancient writing spread along the edge. A new color, deep gold, ran down the center. It was evolving. Sereth saw it too. It's preparing for its final purpose. And what's that? He asked. She looked at him. To judge the one who forged your fate, and mine. Far above, inside the command ship, a voice stirred. Not human, not machine. A voice older than both. He holds the blade. She walks beside him. All predictions broken. Begin the final protocol. And in the center of the ship, something opened its eyes for the first time in 1,000 years. The sky cracked open like shattered glass. Above the valley, a massive object descended, bigger than any ship Jace had ever seen. It wasn't flying. It was falling, slowly, like a god returning to the earth. Its shape was not built for beauty, just power. No windows, no lights. Only steel, silence, and something dark pulsing from its core. Sereth stared at it with cold eyes. That's not just a warship. Jace gripped the evolving sword in his hand. Then what is it? She spoke softly. That is the voice. Jace blinked. The one who chained you? No, she said. The one who told him to. The earth trembled as the great vessel touched down. A long ramp unfolded. The air grew thick, like breathing through smoke. From the shadows, a tall figure emerged. It wore no armor, it carried no weapon. But its presence was heavier than a mountain. Its skin was pale like ash. Its eyes were pitch black, endless like space. And its voice. You were not meant to wake. Sereth stepped forward. I was never meant to obey. The figure tilted its head. Your chains were mercy. You were born from fire and meant to destroy. You refused your role. Found my own path, she said. And now, so has he. It looked at Jace. The human. The blade bearer. Jace raised the sword. You're the one behind all this. I am order, the being replied. I was there before flesh knew pain, before stars had names. Your sword was forged by my enemies, and now you carry it. The sword in Jace's hand began to glow brighter, hot, golden, and alive. Sereth whispered, "It's reacting." The being raised a hand. The world went silent. Birdsong vanished. Wind stopped. Even the flames of their campfire froze in place. Jace felt his legs lock, his breath stop. "Submit," the voice said. "Let me take back what never belonged to you." But the sword would not bow. It trembled in Jace's hand, then flared with blinding light. The silence shattered. The wind screamed, and the sword spoke. Not in words, in feeling, in fire, in memory. Visions exploded in Jace's mind. Sereth kneeling in chains, her tears falling into the dust. Kale, broken by jealousy, crying behind a mask of rage. Children hiding, families burning. The Emperor, proud, cruel, terrified of losing control. And then, a spark of hope. A mechanic, a broken sword, a choice. Jace looked at Sereth. She nodded, and he ran, straight at the voice. The ground cracked under his feet. The sword burned hotter than a star. The voice raised its hand again, releasing a shockwave that shattered the nearby cliffs. Jace pushed through it. The sword sang. The voice screamed. And Jace struck. The blade tore through the figure, not its body, but its core. The light inside. It twisted, cracked, and burst outward. The sky split open with light, and then silence. Real silence. Peaceful. Final. Jace fell to his knees, panting. The sword in his hand had turned white-hot, then slowly faded. Its glow dimmed, and then vanished. Sereth rushed to him. "You did it." "No," he said, breathing hard. "It did." They both looked at the blade. It had turned to dull silver, again, quiet, sleeping. Sereth helped him stand. "The voice is gone. The machines will stop. The chain system is broken." Jace looked at the stars above them, bright, open, unguarded. "What happens now?" She smiled softly. "We build." Later, near the ruins of the forge, Jace stood alone. He looked at the sword one last time and placed it into a stone at the center of the valley. The moment it touched the rock, it sealed itself, vanishing into a pillar of light. A voice echoed gently in the wind. "When the galaxy forgets, remember." He turned back. Sereth waited with a smile, her silver eyes full of life. They left, together, not as prisoner and savior, but as something more. Two beings once broken by the past, now walking into the future. Together.